at the center of the cardiovascular system is the heart. And we think of the heart as the center of our emotion, right? It's like, oh, it's the heart. And we always think of all of our emotion is in the heart. So feelings in the heart. So let's talk a little bit about feelings. Hi, I'm Dr. Peter Minke. This is Minke Wellness. And part of wellness, we think of it, okay, wellness, I want my body to feel good. I want my joints to feel good. I want to have energy. I want my mind to be clear. When you start really looking at the whole wellness package, one of the things that we want is to have our emotions be balanced. And a lot of people will say, well, I want to be happy. Does that mean we want to be happy all the time? All the time. Happy, happy, happy. Well, that's not life, right? I mean, if something sad happens, we want to feel sadness. If something is happy, if something happy, we want to feel happy. So we definitely want to have a balanced emotional response as part of our wellness package, a balanced emotional response. Well, we think of the heart as the center of that. Of course, if you really look at the physiology, we really are the amygdala, which is in the center of the brain, is like the brain control center for emotion, not the heart necessarily. However, actually the good thing about that is that the amygdala sits right behind the olfactory bulb. Okay, I'm not throwing the words out, but the olfactory bulb is talking about the nose, the sense of smell. The sense of smell right behind the nose, there is a little bulb of nerve endings, and those feed into the center of the brain, and it feeds directly into the amygdala. Where am I going with this? Well, that the sense of smell has a direct connection to our emotional centers. Okay, so when we talk about essential oils for emotion, there really is a physiological sort of way to think about it, and it's not just this, aromatherapy or whatever. No, there's really, a physical thing going on. And so we can use the sense of smell to help us connect emotionally. Now, that doesn't mean that if I have my joy oil here, that the oil is going to give me joy. Okay, that's not necessarily what we're talking about. Although there really is some evidence that the aromatic compounds, as they come into the nose and they feed the neurological system in there and make connections, that the actual compounds can induce a pleasant feeling. So in other words, really there is a physical connection between what's in this oil, for example, of joy, and a good feeling that comes through in terms of the body, this brain-body connection. So it's not completely without its okay, this really does give me a pleasant feeling. But true joy, when we're talking about joy, doesn't come from this bottle. It comes from within, and it comes from our relationship with God and knowing that we're loved. And so that is really where what we're talking about. So when I think about using joy, yes, it is a physical connection to support and lift my spirits, but it is the rest of me has to acknowledge that participate in. I'm going to think about pleasant things, or I'm going to work toward thinking about God and acknowledging that God loves me into existence at every moment, and that brings me joy. Or thinking about something joyful. So let's talk about thinking about something joyful, and then we'll do a little breathing, and then we'll use the oil with some breathing. So that's good. So the thinking about something joyful, okay, and this comes to a question of joy. What does joy mean? Defining joy, and a lot of times we say, well, it means being happy. Well, okay, there's not a direct correlation. I personally, if I'm going to think of being joyful, okay, now I can actually think of picturing. Have you ever seen that picture of Jesus laughing? I saw that on a T-shirt. But I think of someone laughing or joyful, celebrating. The idea of celebration. What are we celebrating? When we celebrate, it's an expression of joy, right? So it's not the joy itself, but the expression of joy. So we can think of what that looks like, of joyful. You think of I think of my wedding, and after the first dance, and it was so, to me, very joyful. Wouldn't have cared less, what the pew bows looked like, or whether the Christmas tree lights, we got married in December, whether the Christmas tree lights were on correctly, or one of none of that mattered. The joyful event, right? A celebration. What is a celebration of the beginning of our life together in a sacramental marriage? That's joyful to me. That was a joyful experience. So if you can help yourself, you can. Let me put it this way: we can all help ourselves by thinking of those joyful moments. Now, can you destroy a joyful memory by trying to impose, oh yeah, well, that was when Uncle so-and-so, behaved like an idiot, or someone said something nasty to me? And yeah, you can bring up all the negative stuff, and that piles up there. And so, in other words, it is really your conscious brain that participates in this process to say, okay, whether my life is joyful or not. I'll give you another example. I was working at a very stressful situation, and I had a 20-minute commute back home. And at the end of the day, I would spend that 20-minute commute rehearsing all the things that I was stressed about, so that I could tell Amy how rotten my day was as soon as I got home. We didn't have very much time doing that before we had some serious conflict. And I started realizing that, okay, this isn't working. This isn't working for me, but then I'm bringing this junk home to her. And, why she didn't even want, she's not only has her own stressful, days going on, but she's dreading having me come home, right? Is that what I really want? I want my wife to dread that I'm coming home? No, obviously not. So I had to do something different. And what I did was, in that 20-minute commute, I focused on the things that were good. I focused on anything that was good, a smile that was happening, something good, and whatever. It was the tiniest, it could have been the tiniest little thing, that the clocks were on time, whatever. I mean, I just focused on whatever potential positive thing I could do, and I focused on that for 20 minutes on the way back and I came into the house, and Amy was like, "How's your day?" And I said, "It was fabulous. I worked with this person. They had a great smile, or I heard a great joke today, or whatever." It didn't matter. Like the sheets smelled really clean today. Whatever it was, I just had to focus and expand and grow. So what you focus on grows. So when I talk about using an essential oil and breathing, we're talking about directing your mind, using a tool to direct your mind into something positive. Like I said, one of the reasons I like essential oils is because they really do have those chemicals that kind of do trigger a little bit of a more positive response in the brain. So we're getting a little help from that. But anyone can overpower a few molecules of essential oil and create a negative feeling in their body. So when we talk about joy, I'm going to put some joy on. And how do I put oils on? I'm kind of just talking about putting a few drops, 1, 2, 3. And in this case, I'm going to rub it on my heart. So I'm just going to put it underneath my shirt, go right on my sternum, right over my heart. It's not magical. It's a nice way. And then I'm going to smell it. Now, I could do that just purely physical and not have my brain engage consciously in anything, but I'm going to actually add a little bit of consciousness, a little bit of brain power consciousness to this, and I'm going to breathe in and take a moment to really feel that joy oil spread through my body, and I'm going to imagine one of those moments that I picture as celebration or joy or joyful, my wedding, Jesus laughing, a generic wedding celebration. It doesn't matter. Any time that just pick one, hopefully it's a memory. I mean, if you can't find one memory that has an expression of joy or celebration, we're going to work on your life here a little bit. But in other words, there's plenty to focus on that would be good. So I'm going to picture one thing, and then I'm going to breathe that in. And I'm going to allow that to saturate into my body the way we do the breath. Breathe in. Where does the breath go? Into the blood. Oxygen into the blood. Well, I'm going to take those feelings, that celebration, that joyful feeling, and I'm going to have it go into the blood and move through. Now, the heart, like I said, this is emotional, and the heart. So I'm gonna go ahead and work with the heart because I want to breathe in and feel the heart itself. So I've got the heart structure, and breathe in and pay attention to that. So we're going to do a little bit more breathing in the heart as a muscle and things like that. But as an emotional center, I can start to engage in changing my emotional state through breath and through an essential oil like joy. There's another thing that I like to use. Maybe this will help you as well. And that's a question someone asked me one time, and I really had a hard time answering it. And so if you're like me, I tend to be on the downer side, and so I've had to work hard to not poison myself in the stress category, in the love category, and so stop poisoning myself in the love and emotional category, which means I have to give up this habit of thinking about stressful things. Okay, so one of the questions that was asked to me was, what delights you? What do you delight in? Delight. And I'm like, what do I delight in? I mean, what is delightful? Oh, that's so delightful. I was like, wow, I don't know that I can think of anything. So here's the challenge. Breathe some joy oil, breathe in. So go back to a memory that is, a celebration, an image of celebration. Even if it's not a memory, then at least an image of celebration. Imagine the most amazing wedding or the most amazing party or the most amazing celebration where people are joyful, and breathe that in with the joy oil, and then answer the question or work on answering the question, what do you delight in? What do you find to be delightful? Because that's something that, this is what we're bringing forth in emotion, giving us support. What does that emotional do? Emotional state supports the next step, which is to really look into ourselves and ask, in what do we delight? And so looking at that and asking yourself in your life right now, if you could have something delightful, what would it be? And have that either delivered to you. And I'm not going to tell you what it is. You're going to have to figure out what's delightful for yourself. And of course, it could be a lot of things. And so if you want to journal that and write that down and use the oil, breathe in joy, breathe into the heart, spread it through your body, and then ask, what do you delight? Now, if you have some things that are delightful and they're relatively easy for you to participate in, how about you actually go and participate in those things, right? I mean, if it's delightful to see your grandkids, then call and ask and say, hey, can I come visit? I'd like to see my grandkids. Recognizing that, you could easily get there at a hard time, but if you just focus on those things, that if there's something delightful for you, then take action and make that happen in your life, that you're going to participate, you're going to focus on and do things that are delightful. I'm not saying that it's all the time, just some kind of focus. Okay, so the emotional center, the heart. One more comment about the heart and emotional center. The heart actually it creates a magnetic field. So the magnetic field of the heart, according to the Heart Math Institute, is like 300 times or 200 times stronger or 100 times stronger than the magnetic field that's around the brain. So we think about it's a way to think about the heart as something that is stronger, and so the emotional power, the power of emotion in our lives is much stronger than the mental power. So we got to get emotionally involved in our life in a positive way, and there's we can use oils and these kinds of breathing techniques to help us balance that. Okay, wellness includes being emotionally balanced. It does not mean we're happy all the time, but our emotional response is balanced. So happy wellness, one day at a time.